Okay, so we were talking about our current credit count, 142,000. I double checked, and yes, I believe the particular thing that we would like to purchase costs 150,000 credits, which really stinks because we are extremely close to that, but we are not quite there yet. And so I think that means, although we do have a few quests to turn in at the Citadel, I'm not sure if that would be sufficient for us to reach that key threshold. So I think we're probably looking to do a quest and or some additional exploration around the galaxy in hopes of procuring a little bit more monies. And so that way, once we do head back to the Citadel, we will definitely have enough to make the big purchase, which is the plan, at least, is to get the N7 Typhoon, which is probably, by most accounts, the most powerful assault rifle in the game. So it won't be for us, in all likelihood, since it's really heavy, but we're going to be focusing on our biotics for the most part. But many teammates, basically any teammate who has access to assault rifles, that's probably going to be what we're going to want to use with them. So in terms of what we want to do to get that extra monies, I was thinking this N7 Cerberus attack. Cerberus has taken control of an old military installation on Tuchanka for unknown reasons. Land on Tuchanka and neutralize whatever operation Cerberus has in the area. We only got this after having completed Priority Surcash, so it's a recent addition, and I think it'll be somewhat similar to the previous Cerberus Lab mission that we did just before Surcash. And basically, the idea there being that it's going to be a sort of like a wave after, or numerous waves of enemies coming after us, and we'll talk about it more once we head over there. But that's, I think, next on the agenda. So let's open up the galaxy map. And of course, we just finished Grissom Academy, so we are still there at the moment. I assume we've explored everything, or scanned everything here. I don't think there was anything. And as we can see right now, based on the red border, we cannot exit this area unless we go via mass relay. It's the only place in the Petra Nebula. So if we are looking to do the Cerberus attack, investigate Cerberus at the Krogan DMZ, I believe is what it is. So we do have several other things at the in the Krogan DMZ. I'm not sure we're going to do those right now. We're probably going to focus specifically on this investigate Cerberus stuff. But let's go check it out. Okay, so there is Tuchanka, and yes, there's a bunch of stuff happening here, as we might have expected. There are additional things in the area, like we could go to the Dranik system, the Nith system. Is there other stuff happening? We might want to do that, actually, before we start this mission, because remember, when you are scanning in an area that has an active mission, you shouldn't have any Reapers show up when you use your scanner. I mean, we can test that theory right now, but... Yep, no Reaper activity. So that's cool. That means we can be as aggressive as we want to be over here. However, in systems that do not have missions, and who knows about the Dranik system or the Nith system, but they may or may not have missions in them. If they don't, when we scan, of course, the Reapers will pay attention to us and eventually start to swarm our position, and that resets when we finish a mission. So that means if we go and explore these two areas and then come back, and maybe one of them gets overrun by Reapers, maybe both of them get overrun by Reapers, if we come back over here and complete a mission on Tuchanka, like this Cerberus one we're planning to do, then we can get rid of those Reapers, and if we need to go back to those places for whatever reason, then we have the ability to do that. So that's kind of intriguing. I think let's begin by exploring this system here, and as I was saying, before we actually launch this mission in the Arlok system on Tuchanka, let's check out Dranik and Nith, then we'll double back here. So we have Vol, which is a hydrogen-helium gas giant named for an ancient Krogan deity that stood watch for enemies of his pantheon. The gas giant's moons are named after some of Vol's myriad eyes and ears. The only reason to visit the Vol system is scientific curiosity, which the Krogan lack. Okay, so scan it, just in case there happens to be anything here. In the past, at least based on what we saw in Surcash, in systems that have major missions like Tuchanka, where we have reason to suspect, well, I mean, we have a ton of missions here. We haven't seen much in the way of stuffs on our scanner, so we may not have anything else popping up here, but we'll see. Then we have Ruom, and of course, remember, this is obviously the Krogan home system, so we're going to see lots of references to the Krogan and Krogan culture and what have you. The smaller of Arlok's hydrogen-helium gas giants maintains a small helium-3 recovery infrastructure. Although the depth of Ruom's gravity well makes it inefficient to export, visitors to the Arlok system often top off their fuel tanks at Ruom stations. Council Demilitarization Enforcement Mission, CDEM, maintains a token garrison to monitor any potential sale of fuel to known subversives and terrorists. Remember that the Krogan, after the Krogan rebellions, after the Genophage got deployed, they have been demilitarized. That's why it's called the Krogan DMZ, Demilitarized Zone. Basically, although they certainly still have ground troops and bounty hunters all across the galaxy, they are not allowed to have any armed ships. They might not be allowed to have any spaceships at all. And so that's why we hear reference here of making sure that Krogan don't try to make any moves using the fuel stations here. So there is a small population at those stations. Then, I mean, we could circle around this set of asteroids here, keeping our eyes and ears peeled for any little ding sounds that would indicate that perhaps there might be something we would pick up with our scanner. Although the easiest way to do that is really if there are other things in the system, other things to scan, which we really just haven't seen. I don't think there's anything. I would have said that'd mean that perhaps, you know, you scan one thing, you collect it, and then it says 33% of assets recovered. Then you know, okay, there's 2 more things here that we need to check out. And if you've looked at all the planets and scanned everything besides the asteroid belt, then you can make a pretty good guess that that's where the other assets are. All right, so maybe we'll save Tuchanka. We won't even read about it yet. We'll check out the other places first. We have Kruban. Kruban is a tidally locked Venetian hothouse, its surface perpetually obscured by clouds of sulfur and carbon dioxides. The first group of Krogan brought into orbit by the Solarian uplift teams requested a trip to Kruban. The Solarians first thought the Krogan were confused about the nature of Kruban's environment. The planet is named for a Krogan mythological paradise in which honorable warriors feast on the internal organs of their enemies. That's the Krogan for you. In fact, Krogan astronomers had correctly deduced the nature of Kruban in the years before the global Holocaust. In the 2 millennia since, Kruban had come to be thought of as an ideal test of one's toughness. Every year, a few Krogan attempt to land on Kruban and exit their ships naked in an attempt to prove their Kroganhood. Oh goodness, could anything be more Krogan? Only if they fight to the death when they do this. The planet's surface is littered with crushed, corroded remains of their ships. Only one, Shath Norda, is known to have returned from the surface alive, albeit with most of his bones crushed and all 4 of his lungs damaged by sulfuric gas. Now, of course, Krogan have 4 lungs, not the usual 2. That is not a typo. Norda recovered from his trial to the adulation of his people. Until he died in 1943, he could lie with any fertile female he wished. So, yeah, you know, became quite the celebrity after having done that, although made quite the sacrifice to do so. Reason why it's so difficult to do anything there is because, well, the atmospheric pressure is 47.3 Earth atmospheres, so crushing atmosphere. It is 728 degrees Celsius. The gravity is actually pretty light, but you know, the atmospheric pressure and the temperature will immediately kill you for anyone who is not a Krogan. And if you are a Krogan, 1 in 1,000 might survive. Then we have Kanan. One of Kanan's hemispheres contains an impact crater of 700 kilometers in diameter. Dubbed the Renkat Basin, it was mined for light metals in the interbellum between the Rachni War and Krogan rebellions. Any obvious resource concentrations have long since been stripped. Okay. Then I think we've got a tiny little planet in there. We have Durak. Johnson. Durak is a small, heat-blasted rock lost in the blinding glare of the star Aralok. It occasionally traps a trace atmosphere of gases blown into Aralok's powerful solar wind, which inevitably blows the gases back out again. Planetoid has a few valuable loads of heavy metals, which were sporadically mined by the Krogan at the height of their power. In the closing years of the rebellions, the 5 clans working the planetoid fell to fighting over a particularly rich deposit of iridium. All 5 clan warlords agreed to a meeting at a neutral location, to negotiate a truce. Something tells me that did not work out so well. Something about Krogan. Tells me that's not really their style. Unfortunately, all 5 arrived planning to betray their fellows. While the leaders and their seconds met, all their bases were destroyed by simultaneous hypervelocity cannon strikes. Yup, sounds like something Krogan would do. Left with only the food, water, and air in their hard suits, and with no way to call for rescue, the warlords apparently fought each other to the death. Now that's what I was expecting to happen on the other planet, but I suppose when we were reading about that, it was, for the most part, just 1 or 2 Krogan dropping down at the same time, whereas this is numerous of different clans. The survivors of the 5 Durak clans on Tuchanka still argue about which clan's warlord was the last one standing. The world may never know. So that's the Arlock system. Of course, we still have Tuchanka itself, but as I was saying, I think we want to explore these other systems first. That way, in case we happen to overrun them with Reapers by overscanning, we can double back this way, and we don't need to worry about having that system be overrun by Reapers for an extended period of time. Before we do that, though, let's just double check. Where's the fueling depot over here? How are we doing from... Yeah, we could use some fuel. Good thing we double checked. Now, one thing is that we, thus far, actually have not needed to buy fuel at all. Obviously, it costs credits, so we've been somewhat lucky in that sense, in that we found a whole lot of assets in systems that just give us free fuel. And so that's basically been the only source of refueling we've needed thus far, but I think it is necessary here. So it does mean temporarily we will drop down a little bit, but hopefully we can earn those credits back. Interestingly, unlike in Mass Effect 2, where you press the refuel button, you pay a little bit of credits, you get a little bit of fuel back, and you kind of need to match up the right amount of fuel and not accidentally just mash the button and pay for fuel you don't need. Apparently you press it once and it just fully refuels you. No need for timing all that stuff and calculating, doing the math, so that's kind of nice. Let's check out Drenick first, perhaps. Okay, so that one's closer. Nith is further away. There you can see, again, just how many missions we have on Tuchanka. But yeah, let's go Drenick first. Okay, it's small, and seeing as how I'm pretty sure the system is overrun by Reapers, and seeing as how it has 2 entry points, we might get overrun by Reapers pretty darn quickly here. So, ooh, I do like the looks of this, though. Rothla, look at that. It has, like, little moons, satellites around it. Usually, I mean, even if we read about satellites or moons of satellites of some variety of moons, in the descriptions on planets, we still don't see them, so they must be huge or something like that. So I'm very intrigued to scan that, but we might quite literally only be able to scan 1 planet here before Reapers rush us down. I mean, these are 2 planets right next to each other, which is a little bit tempting, might increase our probability of success, but I think this is too cool to pass up.
I found something.
And there is 2 things here. Reaper retention. How bad is... Not actually that bad. Not actually that bad. Okay, so let's check this out first. So Rothla does have some kind of anomaly. Once Rothla was a large ice dwarf with statistics listed below. In the waning years of the Krogan rebellions, it was shattered into field of debris by what is assumed to have been the test of an exotic weapons system. Maybe that's why we saw all the stuff orbiting around it. In the wake of the event, the planetoid was reduced to a relatively contained field of thousands of tiny moonlets rotating around one another, colliding and ricocheting. That explains a lot. The method used to destroy the planetoid has never been deduced. The Krogan clan who performed the experiment apparently all died in the event. Ships that have traveled to the edge of the event's light cone observed a moment of extreme gravitational lensing around Rothla immediately before its breakup, but no other clues. A popular extranet meme put forward by Asari author Delse Oritza insists that the Turians are covering up the existence of a Krogan superbiotic breed that was genetically engineered within Rothla. CDEM enforces quarantine around the Rothla field, setting cases of amateur investigators whose ships came to grief in the debris field. I kind of... Wait, what did... Mass Effect 3 originally came out in what? 2014? I guess memes were a thing in 2014 or whenever it was. Let's see. What do we have here? Scanning-wise, well, it's right here. Let's check it out. What do we have? Shadowbroker Wet Squad. Oh, this is the one that we heard about previously from, I believe it was Barla Vaughn. Obviously, we also kind of sort of heard it from Liara for obvious reasons. But that is a new war asset, so that's good to see. So that's one thing. We also have... Oh, okay, apparently this is the only other asset in the area, because that has 50% assets recovered after having picked that up. Given what we've seen in the past from these non-planetoid updates, my guess is this is either fuel or credits. Let's see what we have here. It's wreckage. Wreckage of a fuel depot destroyed by enemy forces. Fuel can be salvaged from the debris. Recovered 200 units of fuel. Yeah, I think obviously we spent some fuel to get here. As I was saying, before we fueled up in anticipation of going out here, we had previously gotten all the fuel we needed just from these types of salvages. I suppose we'll take a quick look at Dor and Kellum just to see what they're all about, even though we don't expect to find anything there. So Dor is a conventional methane ammonia ice giant. It is the main fueling port in the Dranik Cluster Gateway system. Hildia Station, the headquarters for patrol ships of the Council Demilitarization Enforcement Mission, lies at the training Lagrange point of Dor. CDEM logs all ships passing through the Krogan demilitarized zone, and has the right to board and search them for contraband at any time and for any reason. There are no exceptions. At points over the last 2 centuries, diplomatic incidents have been caused when the patrol frigates boarded an Asari hospital ship, a Batarian diplomatic courier, and privately owned human tramp freighters. These measures are provided for under the terms of the Krogan armistice. While the Krogan were allowed to retain their government and personal weapons, any attempt to provide starship-mounted weapons to the clans on Tuchanka is punishable by law. Nearly a millennia after the war ended, the official penalty for smuggling prescribed weapons is still death by spacing. Oh, that's kind of grim. There are 7,000 plus people here, though, 8,000 if you include the patrol ships. Okay. I mean, it's kind of odd, because this feels like there's not a lot of significance here. Why would there even be people in the area? Oh, and I missed this little guy? Saskoth. You're hiding over there. Saskoth is a small ice dwarf with an eccentric orbit. During perigee, portions of its icy surface subliminate into thin atmosphere of nitrogen and carbon dioxide, which quickly freezes again as it recedes into the outer reaches of the Dranik system. Okay. Then Kellum, lastly. Kellum is a tectonically inert rock, with an atmosphere of krypton, xenon, and argon. There are a few valuable loads of light metal scattered across its surface, but these are difficult to find. Most were mined out in the years leading up to the Krogan rebellions. Okay, so yeah, not a lot happening here. And we have collected all the assets, so let's head on over to the Nith system, which is certainly a bit further. But seeing as how we are now back on full fuel, we should definitely be fine. Okay. Whoa! Okay. So this star is kind of big, which naturally means we have to fly directly into it. But I did hear... Oh, well, that's because that's a planet there. Couldn't even see the planet because of just the glare from this humongous star. But, let's see. There's 3 planets, it seems, in this system, including but not limited to Vard. Vard is a methane ammonia ice giant. Until the Krogan rebellions, it had a sizable helium-3 fuel refining infrastructure. Once the solar arrays orbiting Nith were destroyed, the constant flow of anti-proton tankers visiting the system disappeared. There was little point to maintaining the facilities, so they were shut down and abandoned. Today, the ancient stations are squatted by transients, criminals, and outcasts. Although few are safe for habitation, neither the Krogan nor the Council Demilitarization Enforcement Mission patrols care if they take their own their chances. There are still 2,072 people here, though. And the next planet is hiding here. Tula. Tula's methane ammonia atmosphere traps the blistering heat of Nith, driving dayside temperatures up over 1,000 degrees. While some loads of useful metals are present, the planet's incredible heat makes mining impractical. Yeah, surface temperature 1,036 degrees Celsius, that's kind of hot. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And even closer in, we have this one, Manton. The Class B blue giant, Nith, was once the most strategically valuable system within Krogan territory, really. Though far too hot for habitable planets, Nith emits thousands of times the energy of a main sequence star like Earth's Sol. Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me given how huge this thing is. With help from Solarian uplift teams, the Krogan constructed a chain of solar power collector stations in orbit around Nith. These vast arrays beamed power to particle accelerators on the surface of Mantoon, which manufactured anti-proton fuel for warship thrusters. In the Krogan rebellions, the Spectre agents managed to get a virus into the computers of the solar power arrays. Every fifth array suddenly applied braking thrusters. The arrays behind them piled up, and all were reduced to wreckage. This has since dispersed into a relatively stable ring system. The Krogan never had the resources to rebuild the solar arrays, depriving them of their fleet's main fuel supply for the remainder of the war. The particle accelerators still exist on Mantoon, but have not been used in thousands of years. And here, the temperature is, it's only 641 degrees Celsius. It's no big deal. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we are definitely going to scan. The question is where? And presumably, we're going to want to scan on some of these planets. Now, if we are expecting to get overrun by Reapers, and we are at some point, especially because these planets are very far away, so we're probably not going to be able to double dip with any scans. I think we lead off with the one that's furthest away, because if we scan here or scan here, then we might be, and we attract Reapers, we might be able to quickly make our escape in this direction for the places where we want to go. Technically, you can still leave from this side as well. Just going to require that we loop around a little bit. So let's start here. Nothing, unfortunately. Oh, however, noticeably, no updates with Reaper awareness, Reaper alertness, and so perhaps we can scan all we'd like. That's certainly nice. Ooh. Well, now the Reapers have noticed. First time they didn't care. This time they did. Okay. Here, we have wreckage. The wreckage of a fuel depot destroyed by enemy forces. Fuel can be salvaged here. And gives us 300 units, so we're back up to full. So that's pretty sweet. But, oh, and that's apparently everything, because 100% of assets recovered. Okay, so that's all we have to do there. So, not much popping up here in the Dranik or Nith system. We did get a war asset from Dranik, and technically I think that was more than just a war asset. It was a mission of some variety, minor as it may be, but now let's head back over to Arlok, where we can actually go to Tuchanka. Okay, so even after having gone to two other systems, we're still at 762, I think, was our fuel, which means that hopefully we won't need to refuel as we head over to our next mission whenever we need to go to a more distant system. But let's head over to Tuchanka. And here we see we have several different places we can go. So our journal says, scarred by bombardment craters, radioactive rubble, choking ash, salt flats, and alkaline seas, Tuchanka can barely support life. Thousands of years ago, life grew in fierce abundance under the F-class star Arlok, a Rake clan word meaning Eye of Wrath. Yeah, it did seem like the star here was quite large as well. Not nearly as large as the one we were just looking at, but tree analogs grew in thick jungles, their roots growing out of shallow, silty seas. Life fed upon life in an evolutionary crucible. This world died in nuclear firestorms after the Krogan split the atom. A little ice age of nuclear winter killed off much of the remaining plant life. In recent centuries, many Krogan have returned to their homeworld. The reduced albedo has caused global temperatures to rise. In order to maintain livable temperatures, a vast shroud was assembled at the L1 Lagrange point. It is maintained by the Council Demilitarization Enforcement Mission, which is based on orbiting battle stations. CDM advisory. Visitors to Tuchanka land at their own risk. The CDEM will not attempt to extract citizens threatened by clan warfare. And that's kind of a thing. It's kind of a thing for the Krogan. So, makes sense, I suppose. Let's see, then, another travel advisory this time. The ecology of Tuchanka is deadly. Nearly every native species engages in some predatory behavior. Even the remaining vegetation is carnivorous. Travel beyond guarded areas is strongly discouraged. Population 2.1 billion, which is actually, compare that to places like Earth, and I think we're looking at Surkesh and Palaven recently, it's actually quite low. I suppose that shouldn't come as too much of a surprise given all we just read about Tuchanka not being the most friendly planet for supporting life, and also, obviously, the Krogan have been crippled by the genophage, and many of them have, although we heard some of them have returned back to Tuchanka, many of them have been exploring the galaxy and fighting as bounty hunters and what have you, taking jobs elsewhere. And out of curiosity, similar atmospheric pressure to that of Earth. Yeah, it is comparatively quite hot, 72 degrees Celsius. Okay, 36 in shrouded areas, so yeah, that makes a lot more sense, and gravity's slightly stronger than that on Earth. Okay, so we have a downed vessel where we can extract Turian survivors, but we also have the Cerberus attack where we can investigate Cerberus' presence. And that is the thing that I think we are looking to do right now. So let's do it. Okay, and in terms of what we'd like to do here, I mean, given how it's called Cerberus attack, I think we can probably expect that we're going to run into Cerberus. And the thing with Cerberus is they tend to have a lot of shields. So we'd like to have some people who specialize in taking down shields. Last time, I think, for the previous similar Cerberus lab mission, we went with Javik and Edie just because they were our most recent additions to the team, and so it felt like we ought to give them a chance. Edie probably does make sense here because, well, with her abilities, which include things like Overload, which is, of course, very good against shields, that could be a very good fit. Whereas, comparatively, Javik can't use many of his biotic abilities when enemies have shields, so we're probably going to want to swap him out. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be Garrus in that case because he's the other person who has Overload. So I'm thinking it's probably these two. Okay, then in terms of our gear here, we do have some new weapons, which I suppose we can take a quick look at. The Matic, which was, well, one of our go-to weapons in Mass Effect 2, so cool to see it once again. Let's read up on it a little, though. That's not what I meant to do. Let's, here we go. Read up on it a little bit. So it's a medium-range semi-automatic rifle. Matic is a hybrid weapon with an assault rifle's low heat production and a sniper rifle's punch. Marksmen favor its increased power over that of an assault rifle to bring down hardened targets. Its lack of a full auto setting is advertised as a feature rather than a shortcoming, as it curbs a soldier's tendency to spray inaccurate fire under stress. Basically, the whole idea with the Matic is, it hits pretty hard for an assault rifle. It's semi-automatic. However, you can basically fire it as fast as you can pull the trigger. So, if you have a quick trigger finger, then you can pump out quite a bit of damage with this. As I said, it's what we did for much of Mass Effect 2, but it is on the heavier side, and so as primarily a power-based character, we ourselves are unlikely to want to use it. Let's see, then I think we've seen all these other things before. That was the new weapon. So no thank you there. As for shotguns, we picked up the Eviscerator from Grissom Academy. Let's take a look at this. The Lieberschaft 2180 shotgun, or Eviscerator, which did exist in Mass Effect 2. We had to purchase it with resources, which I think we just never bothered to spend because we didn't feel the need to get it, is of human civilian design. It has a unique ammunition generator. Where most modern firearms slice chips or pellets from an ammunition block, the M22 shaves off serrated metal wedges designed to fly aerodynamically. This dramatically improves its armor-piercing capabilities, and its tight grouping ensures lethality at longer ranges than standard shotguns. This design violates several intergalactic weapons treaties, so the M22 is not distributed to militaries. So, it is actually, as shotguns go, It's a little bit light. There you see it's a little bit lighter than the katana and scimitar as well. Its capacity is a little bit low. Its fire rate is certainly low, but it does pack a pretty decent punch when it comes to the damage. So if we were, for whatever reason, to want to use a shotgun on our current character as an adept that is trying to use powers as often as possible, this would probably be the shotgun we would use, at least on the ones we currently have access to, because it's the lightest one, and it's still pretty decent. So it's an option, but I think not something we're going to want to use, at least not on Shepard. Then let's just take a look at, in terms of actual weapons we do want to use, what might we want to modify here? We have the power amp, that's good. Oops. The pistol magazine upgrade, I mean, that probably does make sense, unless we have picked up something recently that makes more sense. High caliber barrel for just pure damage is definitely a nice addition. We might want to go that route instead. Then, shuriken. Check this out. The scope has not really been all that necessary for us. This is primarily going to be our short-range weapon, so the accuracy is not really needed. Each round has a 25% chance of not using a thermal clip. That's kind of intriguing. We might prefer going that route, taking the extra capacity. Alright, so that's us for Shepard. Then it is a similar story for ED here, because she's also restricted to an SMG and a pistol. We could potentially switch out her pistol, because I'm not sure how much I trust our teammates to hit people with the Acolyte, since it's kind of odd the way that it works. We might want to give her the Scorpion instead. I think that's what we did with Liara previously. And for her, I think we'll probably go the base damage and I guess, yeah, power magnifier. So this is like the Acolyte, the Scorpion is another weapon that is projectile based and therefore armor piercing does not work, so just make sure you're not using that. So Scorpion for her. Then I think Shuriken, I mean, we just don't have a lot of SMGs to choose from, right? We have one SMG to choose from right now, so yes, it is going to be the Shuriken. Then for Garrus. So for him, particle rifle probably still remains our preferred assault rifle. The Matic, you could make the case for that. You could definitely make the case for this, although I'm not sure that it's all that great with squad mates, because, as I was saying, the damage is very much reliant upon you spamming the firing button as often as possible, and I'm just not sure that squad mates make a point of doing that as well as players do. So I think it's probably going to have to be the particle rifle for him. And I'm liking the looks of these mods as well. Let's just take a quick check. Yeah, I think basically just damage and armor piercing probably make the most sense for him. So let's lock that in, and then as for sniper rifles, the Mantis, of the starting weapons, I think I'm the biggest fan of the Mantis, as I might have said previously, so I'm not that opposed to keeping this on for Garrus. The Raptor, I believe we might have picked up fairly recently as well. This one, notably, you see the fire rate is sort of like a hybrid between a sniper rifle and an assault rifle, and Viper, I think, is actually kind of similar in that way. Semi-automatic. Yeah, rapid fire sniper rifle. So I think we might stick with the Mantis for Garrus, because he already, obviously, has access to assault rifles. Just double check the mods here, because, I mean, he's getting some damage from the concentration mod, so that's a little bit helpful, but the spare capacity could be useful as well, just because generally you're not getting a lot of that with your snipers. But, oh, no, armor piercing. Definitely armor piercing. That's going to be the way we want to go. No question. That way we, well, can do extra damage against armored opponents, and Garrus can do a better job of shooting through cover, which he can already do a pretty good job of with his armor-piercing ammo, but that just adds on to that ability. So I think that means we're good with weapons here. Then for abilities. Shepard has 8 points, which means we can go all the way up on one of our abilities here. I think we were planning on doing Combo Mastery next, because if we go this route, increase recharge speed of all powers by 40% for 30 seconds when detonating biotic combos. That's a lot. My one question here that I'm not sure I've definitively answered is, because our recharge time with our weapons is maxed out at 200% from carrying two really light weapons, there are some types of recharge speed upgrades that just no longer affect us because we basically maxed out that recharge time. Some recharge speed upgrades are basically just an addition or subtraction to that number that you see on the weapon selection screen, and that is capped at 200% improved cooldown at best. So if that's the case for this ability here, then that means that at the moment it's doing quite literally 0 for us, unless we were to carry some heavier weapons, which maybe is not the worst thing in the world if it means that we're feeling okay about piling on some heavier stuffs, but I think we'd probably take it just for the hope that that is the case. Otherwise, it's damage damage and force of, I assume that's powers? Must be. 25%, and power duration by 25%. I mean, that is useful, but remember that the damage number you see there does not affect biotic explosions. It only affects the base damage from the ability itself. And since most of our damage is coming from biotic explosions, it's not, the damage at least, is not as good as it might appear to be. I mean, 25% is 25%. It's still a pretty good deal. It's just that this is going to help us do, or might help us to do biotic combos more frequently, and that's our best source of damage, whereas this one doesn't really help our biotic combos at all. So maybe you can make the case duration to have singularity last a little bit longer would be convenient, but I think we give this a shot. I think it's worth taking that extra risk. So then we've 2 points left, and I don't necessarily think that we're going to want to use those 2 points here, right now, because it means we can put an extra point into pull. I just don't think that's really necessary. For the most part, this is purely for getting rid of Guardian Shields, and we don't really need to upgrade it further to do that. And then Shockwave, I'm not sure we've used it once thus far. It is basically here because you can use this through walls, which is pretty nifty in certain situations if you know there's an enemy on the other side of the wall. So, like, maybe invest in this one, but I'm thinking we probably want to wait to get fitness up to 3, which is melee damage, so that's not really going to be all that helpful. But once we get past that, fitness 4, we can start getting some additional health and shields, which would be nice. So I think we save for that. Then for Garrus. We've 3 points, which is also kind of an awkward number for him, because I think what we'd like to do with him would be focus on armor-piercing ammo here, because we'd like to get to the point where we can, oh man, increase ammo's cover penetration by 60%, decrease effectiveness of armored targets by 25%, make it so that basically Garrus just completely ignores the extra defenses that enemies would normally get from having armor. So that's one of the keys to having Garrus just shred bosses, and that is definitely going to be his strength once we can get that. So I think we probably do save that. Otherwise, it's just a small upgrade to concussive shot, which for recharge speed, I mean, it's kind of a slow recharge, or actually getting proxy mine, which has a really slow recharge speed. So, I mean, there's something to be said for at least having that option, but I think we'll pass for now and focus on prioritizing that armor-piercing ammo. Then for Edie, you do have enough points here that even if we wanted to go all in on Overload, that is a possibility. And given how we're expecting to run into a lot of shields here, that might not be a bad idea. So for her, we can go Chain Overload or we can go Shield Damage. Chain Overload means that it increases the damage a little bit, not a lot, but most significantly, it can hit an additional target, because remember, Overload in the previous Mass Effects had a bit of an AoE. In Mass Effect 3, however, it does not. The only way you're getting additional targets with it is if you have things like Chain Overload here and Chain Overload here. So we can either do that, and if it does do that, then it does have a somewhat limited range. I mean, 8 meters is still pretty big, and 60% less damage means that whoever the additional targets you're hitting are, they're not going to be hit by all that much. It's mostly just here to detonate the tech combos or whatever combos we might have on numerous targets simultaneously. And also, especially because we took the neural shock here, it has the ability to do some crowd control to stun people a bit. So stunning more people simultaneously is also kind of nice. So that's this option. Alternatively, you can go pretty much the pure damage route and just do tons and tons of damage to barriers and shields. 100% is obviously ginormous. So it's largely a question of, do you go for the single target damage here, or do you go for the AoE here? And for Edie, I was thinking, I was a little bit on the fence. Because, actually, compare Edie to Garrus, and Garrus, we kind of set him up to be our single target specialist. Well, with having really powerful weapons. His armor-piercing ammo gives him tons of damage. His Turian Rebel gives him tons of damage. Overload, I believe, thus far, we did go, what, Neural Shock? Yeah, we went damage for him down here. So I think the plan for Garrus is probably going to be have him be someone who goes with the shield damage option, and then have Edie maybe be someone who does chain overload. The thing with this is, if you do go with this chain overload and this chain overload, I mean, that is 60% less damage for this chain and 60% less damage for this chain as well. The damage is going to be very lackluster unless you're detonating something in the process. So it's going to feel a little weird at times, but especially since we're on Insanity and any enemy that is capable of hitting us is dangerous, I think the extra crowd control may be worth going this route. And we'll have Garrus, as I said, be our pure single target guy. So I think that covers it.
Shepard, Cerberus is landing forces away from the Tuchanka battlefields. Their target seems to be an ancient ground-to-space cannon facility that hasn't been used since the Krogan rebellions. The site has no obvious military advantage, and the Krogan are spread too thin to deal with it.
Do we know what Cerberus is up to?
No, but we do know that Cerberus doesn't act without a plan. Get in there, stop them. Find out what they're up to while you're at it.
We'll get it done.
See to it. Hack it out.
Looks like Cerberus got that cannon operational, Commander. I'll go back up, get a read on what they're shooting at.
Get on it. All right, let's find the control room for those cannons. Kill anything in our way.
Sounds
Okay.
simple enough.
So, for those of you who are familiar with Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, this place might look familiar. That's because this is a Mass Effect 3 multiplayer map. It is Firebase Giant. So, it is a place that I've been to many times before. Let's take a little peek around here. There is a cannon, as Cortez was saying, that is firing. We got some ammo lying around here, but this something? Perhaps, perhaps not. Perhaps, perhaps not. Oh. Why, hello there, sir. Looks like we have a bit of the element of surprise we can use against them, so I certainly like that. I wonder if, what is the best way to make our opening move? Because we have another dude over here. We have a dude over there. Just spread out enough that we can't hit them all simultaneously, unfortunately. Actually, tell you what, before we make our moves here, just make sure, Garrus, if you could please activate your armor-piercing ammo. Now, we did give Garrus the solo version of the armor-piercing ammo. It only affects him. Does not affect the rest of the team, but it means it is at full effectiveness for him. Fortunately, we can't save here. That would have been really nice. But, alright, let's make our move. So who do we want to go for first? I'm thinking maybe this guy. So, I mean, we can, of course, go Singularity plus Warp to take him out with a 2-combo set. But we might want to do something a little faster than that. I mean, either way. We'll do this. And they've now taken notice. So let's take a look at, since this guy is rushing us down here, what does Chain Overload do? It knocks him out big time. Big time. So, I mean, why don't we...
The cannon fire is clearing the way. If that ship makes it to bombardment range, the Krogan resistance is in trouble.
Keep track of it, Lieutenant.
On it.
Okay, so now we're gonna have, by the looks of things, a whole lot of these Cerberus dudes who are gonna try to make matters difficult for us. They're trying to use this cannon here, and we gotta make sure that doesn't happen. So we can try to push kind of aggressively here if we'd like to, but I'm not necessarily sure we want to go that route, at least not on Insanity. That makes me a little bit nervous. So I'm thinking we try to sort of bunker down here. Let's have Garrus take position in a place where he can poke his head out there and shoot some peoples. I mean, Edie doesn't really have the same kind of range that Garrus has. Oh, I should have made more of a point of making sure that Garrus is using an appropriate weapon here. At the moment, this might even be sniper territory. But, let's Singularity this dude. Let's see. Garrus is on the Mantis. Okay. Edie, from this range, well, both your weapons are pretty short range, to be honest. It's going to be kind of tough. Scorpion, you might have a little more success with. In the meantime, let's blow this guy up. The thing that concerns me the most about Cerberus is that they have a lot of grenades. Can we hit that guy when he's hiding behind like that? Not if he hides behind like that, no. And that is an engineer. And the engineers are problematic. Oh, who is this trying to flank us right now? A little concerning. Garrus, can you perhaps, or maybe even Edie. I don't love having Edie right next to us because of the grenades. In case it blows up in this area, we don't want to have it hit everybody. Like this, for example. Shepard, please move. Yeah, there is a turret down here somewhere. I can hear it. Might just fall back even further, to tell you the truth. We might have gotten 2 guys with that. That explosion might have gotten multiple guys. Okay, so this dude still has shields. So then that means we have to overload him, and then... Ooh, he's actually able to hit us from over there. I'm a little surprised. That might be the turret. Okay, Centurion, again, the shields are our biggest problem. Oh, we are not using the weapon I thought we were using. We'd like to go Acolyte. Let's wait until we get our shields back and make sure that nobody's flanking us right now. People are flanking Garrus and Edie a bit. Namely that guy, who is almost dead after... That's Garrus's, I think... Was that Garrus? No, that might have been Edie's overload. That's a lot of damage for Edie's overload. That's the lower damage version. We might just need a... Will probably suffice. Okay. So there's definitely a turret over there. You can kind of see it there. So that's the highest damage enemy at the moment. We want to make sure that we don't get in the line of fire of that, otherwise we're going to be in trouble. Did we hit that guy at the singularity? I don't think we did. These people are trying to snipe us. Which is not cool. We don't really have the range to deal with them right now. Who's this who's... Yep, starting to move in on the rest of the team here. So... That engineer, I think, was starting to try to set up a turret. Just starting to do the animation for it. And if you damage them significantly or kill them as they're doing that, then the turret will explode. This guy, we did end up hitting with that singularity, so that's good. We can blow that up. Then... Ooh. We're starting to spawn on the flanks. Yeah. Don't do that. Still wish our shield recharge was a little bit faster than this. Excuse me, good sir. Would you please also get biotic explosion? So this is what I mean, where we could theoretically push more aggressively here, but at the same time, you know, if we can take these guys out by just thinning the pack a bit, one at a time, then that's not a terrible idea. That might have even been the turret self-destructing. If it goes unengaged long enough, and it does self-destruct, that's a Centurion. Let's make sure. Garrus, yeah, you are on your sniper rifle. But I'm just not sure if we have enough of an angle on this guy to actually hit him with an overload. We can try. Oh, it worked. It did work. Okay, the Acolyte is, doesn't really have this kind of range. We're gonna try. See what we can do with it, though. Well, that did go farther than I expected it to go, for what it's worth. Okay, if we wait too long here, these guys will get their shields back. This guy might be starting to move in on us. Can't really tell. It's bouncing around in there. Yeah, I think we gotta push a bit. Oh! How'd you get there? That's weird. Okay. He's dead. This dude. He's dead.
Center secure. Then I think it's time to test this cannon.
Okay, so that is our signal, our sign, that all the enemies are down at the moment. So let's now take a minute here to check things out and get things like that salvage there, because this is probably our best time to loot. So let's make a point of doing that. Pick up ammo and what have you. I think we're fully loaded. That looks like our quest item, but before we do that, have a med kit for some experience. Control console. No, that's got to be the quest item there. So let's wait a bit for that. Check out the area. As I was saying, this is the map Firebase Giant from Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. If you're interested in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, then it is basically this same type of stuff, this arena, or among others, and fighting sort of horde-style waves of enemies. It is unfortunately not in Mass Effect Legendary Edition. There was a bit of discussion as to whether that would or would not be the case. Ammo? In Mass Effect Legendary Edition, if they would add it, or if they just leave it in the base Mass Effect 3. It is only in the base Mass Effect 3. I think their logic for that was that there are still people playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer in the base Mass Effect 3 game, including myself and several other people. Just actually surprisingly active, large group doing that. But they supposedly were of the mindset that they didn't want to split that group by, say, having some people play in the Mass Effect Legendary Edition version. Some people play in the base Mass Effect 3 version, and then, it's like, okay, are there going to be enough people to matchmake anymore? Maybe, maybe not. And also, there are unlockables that people are like, well, are people going to want to go back through the process of unlocking this stuff? Or are they not going to be interested in doing it all again? I was pretty sure there was something over in this room over here. A little surprised that I was not able to find it. Thought there was. Suspicious. So obviously I'm familiar with this map. Very familiar with this map. It is identical to the way it is in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. But I'm fairly certain that we've not yet picked everything up here. Is a little off-putting. Where are they hiding the stuffs? Where did you hide the goodies? I know you've got more here. Somewhere. I know you have more. Do not lie to me. What, in this area? Didn't think so. Jack. I am 100% certain that we have not gotten everything yet. 100% certain. It is a little off-putting. Thought I had a general sense as to where those things were, but perhaps I was wrong. Out of curiosity, can we save now that there are no enemies? No, we cannot. That is also a little off-putting. Cerberus, where did you hide the goodies? It's Halloween, we're trick-or-treating. I demand that you provide us with the treats. Oh. Some junk to salvage. Okay. That's some of the stuffs, I suppose. Maybe now we feel okay progressing, pushing forward. That was, 3,500 credits. Don't want to miss out on that. So I think maybe we make our move now. Okay.
Power to the console.
You'll need to get the power back on.
Let's
Gotcha.
move.
Out of curiosity, yeah, Cerberus is not terribly pleased about that.
Sending in reinforcements. Fortify.
They're sending in reinforcements. You see, this area up here, yes, they can actually occupy it. Occupy it. There's a Nemesis and a Centurion there. Nemesis, remember, we've only seen possibly one of them at this stage, and that is the Sniper. And they can hit for a lot of damage, and in Insanity in particular, they aim very quickly, so they are threatening, for sure. Let's try to do that to shock you, and then let's use the Chain Overload to shock you again, and then let's use Singularity now that you don't have a shield to lift you, and then I think you are just dead. So we've gotten rid of those guys up there. They may have been the most dangerous enemies, but there are more. There's a Centurion here. There's another enemy that we would ideally like to overload. Let's charge it up. I did not even see you, but apparently we hit you, so that's cool, I guess. Not sure if we got rid of that Centurion. There are definitely still more enemies back there. Not loving this angle right now. Ooh. There is an enemy over here. Somewhere. Oh. Oh, that's Garrus. At first I thought that was an enemigo. I was like, we are in trouble. You are right next to us, and I did not realize it. That should finish you off. You are, for some reason, not in the singularity right now, but you apparently got shocked by Edie, I think? Is that Edie? That is Edie. That is also a grenade. Hello, engineer. You definitely need to get shot. Okay. Let's have you, Edie, just take that guy out. There's someone else here who is shooting us. They're right on top of us. There, though? Oh, they're probably above us on the, this thing. Or they're right there. Not entirely sure if that was the person in question. No, there's still someone who must be up there. That's an assault trooper. That's the Centurion. Yeah, there's more people here than I feel comfortable pushing this aggressively toward. Can you see this person up here? You cannot. May not have hit. It may have. It may have, it may not have. Okay, so technically what we should be doing is we should be using Edie as another detonator. Oh, hello. Someone who can set off numerous explosions simultaneously with her chain overload. But on this occasion, we just gotta get rid of this guy. This guy still has shields. I didn't quite catch what he said. That might have been a sign that they're retreating now, perhaps? That should take you out. Yeah, we just have some assault troopers back here. They should just make sure this doesn't get stuck in cover, but should be able to take them out fairly easily. Ooh, Centurion's a little tougher, though. Gotta get rid of your shields first. Still floating in the singularity? Oh, you. Please go away. Oh, I need you in the... There we go. Now we can start here. Like that. You are disposed of. And basic trooper over here. Okay. Singularity you. You know the deal. Make you go boom. Yeah, I think we are getting autosaves here, so that's good, even though we haven't been able to manually save. And now we can, for what it's worth. Why don't we take a second here to grab some ammo, because it looks like that was the last of that wave of enemies. And then, I think what we're trying to do is, you remember these things we were seeing previously over here? They are now destructible. They are latches. Interestingly, I do not believe we are able to destroy them with the Acolyte. Or if we can, it is very difficult to do so because of how it bounces all over the place. So, make sure that you bring a weapon that is not a projectile, or at least is easy enough to target, so you can do things like this. Even that is, not... Okay. I was gonna say, the health bar is not really moving. It's making me a little nervous. Okay. So we have 2 power modules to reactivate. Why don't we just grab ammo while we're at it? Gotta love. You see that? That's how fast the Shuriken reloads. It's basically instantaneous. Okay, now let's go back to the Acolyte, though. Alright, let's get these started up. Some experience. Fair bit of experience at that.
We're cutting it close, Commander.
Okay. Control console. We still have another thing we need to activate, see?
Console. Heading back now.
Okay. I imagine Cerberus is not going to be pleased about that, though. No, they are not. I definitely just heard a turret getting set up. That looks a lot like a Guardian. Let's get rid of your shield by pulling it off. Okay. Now, let us... Oh, excuse me. Let us singularity you. I was really hoping to get both of you with that singularity, and then it did not happen. Edie, if you could incinerate, because that primes for fire explosions, which we haven't really seen much of. But if you use incinerate and then follow up with an overload, you can detonate those fire explosions like that, which is another pretty sweet combo. It's just not the kind that we've tended to focus on thus far. So we've been doing so much on the biotic side of things, at least obviously with Shepard. If you could not do that part where you dodge things, that would be appreciated. We are starting to get flanked. Okay, who is... That's an assault trooper. Just want to make sure nobody's going to, like, snipe us from over here. I think next priority is probably over here where Edie's looking at, especially if they have, yeah, Centurion over there. That's a grenade that is going to explode on Edie if she doesn't move it right now. He may have still gotten nailed by that. Okay, that is a Guardian there. Pull does have a quick cooldown, so I think we pull that off. And maybe we can catch them both in a singularity here. Unless Garrus does something to mess with this Guardian and just shred him. Suppose that works too. Oh, this Assault Trooper. We can take care of him, right? We'll take him out. I mean, he's dying from the singularity. But that Guardian is still alive. Oh, not for long, though. Stop dodging the singularities. Yeah, so there you saw, we primed with Singularity, and then Edie detonated with the Incinerate. There's still a lot more. Still a lot more. That is a grenade that they just threw at us. That is not where I want to be standing, but there's a grenade right there. Okay, so Garrus actually can shoot through the Guardian shields with his armor piercing. He has more than enough to do that. So we are theoretically capable of taking them out even without pulling off their shields. But let's do it. We're going to maybe scare the guy first, but maybe not. Don't know if that hit him. Face him how he's... Both of them are very much floating in the air right now. It definitely got both of them. That is a grenade that I hear but don't see. That's always scary. Who's over there by Garrus, though? I think he's fine. Oh, you. Stop flanking Garrus. That's illegal. Garrus? You okay, buddy? Where are you? Where is he? It's like right in front of us somewhere. If you could just like actually stay in the cover there, you had the right idea. Edie, if you stay there, I want to make sure you guys don't get taken out here. Ooh, he's going flying. I mean, we've got to try the throw, right? That far up. Oh, thank you for bringing to my attention that there's a Centurion right on top of me. He tried to shoot me. He tried to shoot me. No, Garrus! Oh dear. He did seem awfully keen on hanging out in the open. Like, Edie, honestly, if you could just, like, stay back here and we'll use you specifically for your powers, probably be ideal. Even this right now. Oh, what? Oh, you sneaky little trooper. And you dodged that, too. Gotta get those barriers back. This guy's getting pretty close, and that is a grenade. I would tell Edie to move, but I feel like if I tell her to move, she's just gonna move close to that grenade. What if we... Oh, she teleported back here. That's convenient. I was gonna say, what if we fall back to this spot? Oh, it's her decoy. Oh, well, you fooled me. And we gotta pull this Guardian shield. Now we can Singularity you. So that is Edie down as well. So it is just us at the moment. But I believe we only have a small number of enemies remaining. We've a few more enemies remaining than I would like to have remaining at the moment. Ooh, hello. Go away. Honestly, this is... might even be a throw situation. You don't have much HP left. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You. Singularity. And one. We can bring our teammates back if we can get close enough to them. It's tempting for Edie here. The problem is this Centurion is... we probably should have done that earlier. The Centurion is shielded. Does make matters a little bit tougher because we can't just immediately mess with his... or use biotics against him. Falling back right now? That's Edie. He's back up. Did they just retreat? Might have just retreated. But, well... team is back. And better than ever. I see you, engineer. I think there was a turret up there that was not intended. Where exactly do we need to go, even? Not entirely sure. Oh, in there. Same spot, I suppose. Okay, there is absolutely a turret in here. Which means it is extremely dangerous in here. There is a Centurion. We'd like Singularity. Warp. There's a Guardian that's pretty close to us. Right there. Go off the shield. Can hear the turret. Fortunately, for whatever reason, it sounds like we are not in range of it right now. That's the engineer that made the turret. We can kind of see... oh, there it is. Okay. Now I see. So what if we... I mean, this engineer is about to go down anyway, but what if we... We can still prime the fire explosion, so Incinerate doesn't work well against shielded enemies, but we can prime for fire explosion, then detonate it with an overload. That is an option. Also, yeah. Let's use the overload there. Now it's on to armor. Now we can warp it. Oh, okay, well, that's enough to take it out. Garrus, if you could use that overload, thank you. Yeah, I believe that was the last of those enemies, based on how we just saw the autosave. Edie's on the other side of this room. Edie, what the heck? Why are you over there? So, that was honestly the toughest part, was just our teammates at times deciding they wanted to go somewhere entirely different and complicating matters when they did so. Yeah, we have old grid schematics here.
Not the kind of Krogan relic I expected to find.
Which would prove useful, because you may recall we had a mission in which we were looking for improved power grid. A technician at Purgatory on the Citadel needs an improved power grid to keep things running. Find schematics for new power grid and deliver them. So that sounds like that might be what we just picked up. Then there's still this spot here. This is where we were previously to activate the control console. Can we save now? We can. Why don't we? Don't think there's anything else after we got those grid schematics. We may now be good when it comes to looting of stuffs. Maybe one more thing. This is another situation where now that everybody is down, we are safe to explore and loot. As I was saying previously, I thought we missed something. But we might have now recovered everything. Let's see, there's like this little area over here as well, where one could theoretically hide some stuff. I thought there was something in this area over here, up this ladder. Thought there was some credits in this area. Though, Do something there for a second? Oh, I think I... Yes, I did. There we go. Now we may be good. 3,000 credits. We'll definitely take that. I mean, remember, we missed the item that we really wanted to purchase, the big assault rifle for Garrus and other assault rifle friends, by 8,000 credits. So to get 3,000 credits, you never know, that could be the difference between being able to afford and not being able to afford the big stuffs. But now let's activate this.
Commander, cruiser initiating bombardment.
Cannon
Okay.
control restored. Targeting enabled. Coordinates, Lieutenant.
Uploaded.
Firing.
Kind of hard to see from there, but I'll
Direct
take your word for it.
starboard hit, Commander. Target breaking up. Repeat, direct hit.
That's a beautiful sight.
If we could
Good
see
work,
it.
everyone.
Good work, everyone!